Okay, guys, so welcome back to another live stream. Today we are talking about Glenn Martens Margiela debut, as you guys can tell from the title. And with me, I have a special guest. So if you want to introduce yourself, definitely do so.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Anastasia Samara. I'm a stylist. I started recently, and I'm a collector actually. So why this is why I'm here to discuss today because I'm a big fan of Martin Margiela and Margiela in general, and half of my pieces are from Margiela.
From
So
Margiela, yeah. And she's being
I
very
follow
modest.
closely.
She has a very, very extensive Margiela collection that you
I would
guys will
still not
see
consider
later.
myself yet a serious collector, but it will happen soon. I hope. Yeah, I think being a collector is a wonderful thing. It's there are not many people that are doing that. I wish more people would do that, especially people that work in the fashion industry. I would wish to see
Yeah.
more people collecting pieces from the designers they love. I think it's very important. Yeah.
I think it's because you really need to love a designer to collect, because most
Yes,
people spend their
exactly.
money maybe buying things that are more trendy, or things that fit more into the trends and do the trend cycle that way.
Yeah, exactly.
um but yeah, collecting is really important because we need people to preserve the work of a lot of the designers that we love.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
the
for
end, I
sure.
was thinking just now that in the end, the fashion will be just about accessories. Nobody will be buying clothes anymore. It's becoming less and less with shoes and bags, and very few people really
Yeah,
care about the clothes. Even for Margiela, there was once the tabby was became known much later than Martin, of course. It was so much fun to see that all influencers were wearing a tabby, but just that, they don't
yeah.
go beyond that, right? Beyond
Or
that,
like to the clothing or anything
yeah,
like that.
no,
Yeah, which is sad, but yeah.
yeah,
So
it is.
Glenn Martens Margiela. So, as most of you know, Glenn Martens was announced as the creative director of Margiela earlier this year. I think actually in January. Of course, he has a lot of experience. He's worked at Diesel, Y Project, that unfortunately closed down recently. He's also been a guest designer for Jean Paul Gaultier when he was doing the guest couture collections. And I saw a lot of people, when it came to this collection, drawing parallels between some of his pieces in that couture collection and his Margiela debut. So before we get into the nitty gritty, Anastasia,
Mhm.
what did you think of the election just generally? Kind of what were your first thoughts, and have your thoughts changed as time has progressed?
Yeah, it's an interesting question if they have changed. The very first impression that I got was not, I was expecting something different, so I was not very happy about it. But as I observed it again and read a little bit, it grew a little bit on me, not completely, but it grew more. Still, there are aspects of it that they don't fit maybe my aesthetic personally, and I have some comments about also how that fits to what the Margiela house represents in terms of code. But there are also things that I realized are really very interesting. So I
Right.
cannot say I liked or I didn't like. There are aspects that I like and others that I didn't. So we
Yeah.
can discuss about that. Yeah.
Okay. So we're just gonna go through the show and kind of talk through it.
Yeah.
So kind of to give people watching a quick synopsis on kind of the concept of the show, what the show is about. So essentially, this show is about finding the beauty in the ugly and the raw. And there's a lot of like Flemish architecture, Dutch and Flemish art that he's taken inspiration from. And a big reason for kind of Glenn Martens looking at this as a concept is because he's from Bruges, and he said that he didn't find much beauty there, but it has this sort of gloomy Gothic kind of beauty, and he kind of wanted to really show that through the collection. He also feels that that channels a certain Margiela aesthetic that he really likes, and he thinks also works for the brand. And he said it has this kind of like austere vibe of Flanders, the Flemish region of Belgium, which is very much in line and connects with Margiela. Martens Margiela himself. So that was the direction he went through in this collection, which is why when you look at a lot of the garments, there are a lot of recycled garments, recycled biker jackets. A lot of the masks are made with, recycled tin and found objects and things like that. Even a lot of the encrusted pieces are actually found gemstones mixed in with rhinestones. So it's not supposed to be like beautiful, because I know that was like a thing that people are talking about online, that we expected more beauty, whereas the beauty, it's deliberately gothic and dark and gloomy and kind of austere in a way. That piece there is an ode to his look at Jean-Paul Gaultier. But yeah, Anastasia, what are your thoughts?
Uh, yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. You can tell that it's intentional the way it is. I have many thoughts on this. Well, of course, he used all the codes, many codes from the house, definitely. Um, what I would say that the aspect that I didn't like was that for me, the House of Margiela carries something very subtle and very austere, but very subtle at the same time and very light. There is a lot of transparency in the whole energy of the house, not only literally on the clothes. So, for example, the masks, the metallic masks, were something that I found too heavy for my own taste and for the House of Margiela. And the way the clothes were moved also, some of the clothes were very stiff. Of course, we can always refer to Martin. He also had in some collections very oversized pieces that moved in a very stiff way. There are common things, but I would say for me it was a little bit too heavy for what I was expecting, and it was a literal. In a way, it was too literal. The codes were taken too literally. I would have wanted him to do much more than like Galliano did, which means that he took the essence of the house, but he put a lot of other things as well. So it was not really literal. That's how I see it, at least. So for me, the house of Margiela represents something very light at the same time, not that gloomy. But of course, there were some very interesting pieces. For example, I didn't like the plastic pieces, if I want to be more
Yeah.
specific. I found them a little bit gimmicky, a little bit to your face, even though we know that
Yeah.
Martin has used that as well. And I didn't like some of the 3D, flower motifs. Some of them I found them a little bit too messy. And for me, the house has much cleaner, at least for me, a cleaner aesthetic. And the dresses, that reminded me of there was I think it was at Gautier Martin's collaboration. There was a dress that he did in emerald, and there is in old gold now that is very similar to that, like the silhouette is very similar. These dresses, I didn't like the way they fall, and I found them a little bit, how to say, not very refined. Then other than that, I would say I liked a lot some of I don't know if he used organza or silk, the 3D that he created with the flowers and the wings
Yes,
that
that's
I
like
found very
yeah, like
beautiful.
tall. Yeah.
The encrusted, of course, it has been done already with the masks before. I don't know, 2012, 13, before
Yeah.
Galliano. You remember those masks. So he
Yeah.
took it far with that and he did much more, which is fine. Of course, a lot of upcycling. I mean, with upcycling, you can do so many things. There are, I mean, endless possibilities to upcycling and reusing and reworking clothes and cutting them and reconstructing them. So it was interesting, like the biker jackets, for example, with the motifs that were reworked. Um, I liked a lot the three silhouettes. Yeah, these ones. These I find
Yeah.
fantastic.
And I
I
guess
found
this
that
has
really
more the vibe
interesting.
of like actual Martin, because
Yeah,
like Martin
exactly.
would
That's what.
usually
Yeah,
use those
yeah,
softer fabrics
exactly.
anyway.
Yes, softer.
Um,
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's where I'm not very much in resonance with what he did. But for sure, there are interesting elements. What else was
yes.
there that was now, for example, this one is very
Also,
quick.
Luke, this is very true. If you look at Margiela's clothes, they're deceptively simple, everyday, ordinary clothes, subverted through inventive cutting or
Yeah,
interesting techniques. Never this cumbersome, which is true. Like the whole,
yeah.
you know,
This is
like,
what. Yeah,
yeah. 100%, because I understand what Glenn is doing. Like they're using like couture techniques because it's a couture show. So, hand sewing all these gems into the garments. But Martin would never do that, which is
Yeah,
very true. He wouldn't do that. But I appreciate the craft that's going into it. But then that's what makes the clothing heavy, because there are too
yeah,
many gems on the clothing. And therefore, that's what
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
doesn't channel the same energy. This I really like. This is kind of like a lying slash like a tie fabric that is kind of bleeding into a mask. That was cool. I did like the way that they layered the tool on some of the pieces, and
yes,
it's kind
yes,
of creating like a second skin,
yeah.
but like a layered second skin, which is
Playing with
very
the
Margiela, but
dimensions,
done
yeah,
in a
like
very different
creating.
way. Yeah.
Mm.
That's really cool. There were a lot of odes to Galliano. There was a lot of corsetry in this
Yeah,
collection.
yeah, yeah,
And Glenn doesn't typically, he uses a lot of deconstruction if you look back to the Y project, but the corsetry made me think of Galliano a lot, because Galliano is someone that's known for using a lot of corsetry, even at
yeah,
Margiela and at Dior, everywhere he's been basically. Um, so that was very interesting to see how he did that.
yeah. I would say it's very interesting because covering the face, um, for Margiela was for like it's so interesting because it's like he wanted to put everything in how to explain that in like of course anonymity and in a way that
Yeah,
is more not to be on the spotlight. Even the clothes themselves, they were in a way they were very casual, like
yeah.
the silhouettes were very very sleek and simple. There was not much exaggeration, I would say. There was, but on other levels. And then here somehow it looks like it's the opposite. Like even though the faces are covered, it's like it's pulling all your attention. So for
Which
me,
is such
that's
a
what it's
that's
interesting,
such
right?
a good point. It's such a good point, because Margiela didn't he used masks for many different reasons. Like one of them was,
Yeah,
of course, he wanted people to focus on the clothing. Now, when you think of Martin's work, it was a lot simpler but subverted in very intelligent ways. So you
yeah,
actually really had to look at the clothing for a long time to see where the elements and where the details were. But with this
yeah,
kind of clothing, it's kind of shouting and screaming at you already. So there isn't a
exactly.
need to, remove the models' faces. Secondly, the earlier collections where Martin was doing it, part of it was also because he couldn't afford the usage rights of the models. So he came up with the idea to cover the face, and then it kind of fit in with the theme. And then even when he could afford it, it was like, actually, I like this as a part of, the philosophy of the brand, being that you focus on the clothing, which is why he continued. So there's like many different reasons. Now, in the context of the social media age where you're making clothing that is very shouty, is the do we live in a fashion landscape where covering the face has the same effect, or it's as strong?
I would say it depends how you do it, like then comes the depth, the personal depth of the designer, the way he is as a person, the way he thinks, his philosophy about many things. It goes beyond clothes. Like for Martin, it was that. So Glenn does it, I would say, in a more contemporary way. He has also from Diesel, he got that it's a little bit catchy, it's a little bit more, it pulls your eye. He's very good at doing that.
Yeah,
Even with Y project, So that's what I would say I'm missing. If I say I'm missing something, would be that the energy for me doesn't fit. But of course, this doesn't mean it's not acceptable or
yeah.
that he didn't do a good work, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
and there's elements of Martin Margiela that he's channeling. Martin is so famous for reusing fabrics and being sustainable before sustainability was even like a phrase that was used.
yeah,
So that's kind of why he's reusing so many pieces. I think that's his way of like trying to show that he's channeling the heritage of the house by reusing stuff, but it doesn't have the same effect, because yes, it was supposed to be gothic and grungy, but a lot of this stuff doesn't look particularly beautiful. Whereas, like,
mm,
when I think of Martin Margiela's work himself, a lot of the stuff is actually very beautiful. Like, even when people wear it, this looks like
yeah,
you're wearing a very finely crafted rag in a way for a lot of the pieces.
yeah,
That might
yeah,
be harsh,
yeah.
but a lot of them do look like that.
Mm, yeah.
Ryan said the
Um,
house said in the past the goal was to respond to couture. This is aligned with couture convention, in my opinion, rather than commentary on it. Okay, That's a good point. That's a good point. Even like the denim, but it's actually like an optical illusion. It's very Margiela. Margiela did use a lot of denim in collections. Also,
Yeah.
I find that the intention of the masks have been upturned. They're previously used to divert attention towards the clothes and away from the visage of the models. These masks are distracting as fuck. Yeah, that's kind of what.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. It gives the opposite effect. Yeah. Which
That's
is
kind
fun.
of
It's
what I was
interesting
alluding
if you
to
think about
earlier.
it. Like how the same thing gives two completely different impressions and energies. You know, it's
Yeah.
so interesting. Yeah, they're distracting, and they're even too
And
harsh,
Ryan,
in my opinion. Yeah.
exactly this. It's like random Margiela references plus craftsmanship.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
the
I'm saying. It's
thing.
like literal codes that are taken and put together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, for me, which would be much more complicated to do, would be if a designer takes the energy and the depth of Martin as a designer and try not to use that much the codes, but
Yeah,
that depth in terms of designing, which is a very complex thing, of course. But because
yeah,
using the codes at this point is not that difficult, you know, or doing them in a very subtle worked way, which is again very, very complicated to do. So this is a little bit in your face, you know. That's what I would say.
yeah.
Um, but I'm impressed by the three transparent dresses. They remind me of Martin's last collection, which I love so much.
And
Um,
that's very in line with the show space because the show space is
yeah,
actually the basement of where Martin Margiela showed his last collection in 2009.
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
So
it
that
was
makes a lot of
2009 the last
sense.
collection. Yeah,
Yeah, I
which
think so,
yeah,
yeah. And then even on the walls that he's trying to channel the Margiela thing again with sort of like the paper collages and all the different colors. It looks like decayed paper kind of thing
yeah,
going on. But it doesn't, it's really weird when people do sets, right? Because the walls are decayed paper, but then the ceiling is very modern lighting. So it just kind of looks, it's like clashing. If they wanted to
yeah.
really do a proper set, like a
It's a
360
bit
set, they should
forced.
have, yeah, they
Yeah,
should have done the ceiling too. If it's, I don't think they considered that too deeply.
yeah. And then another thing, now that you're talking about that, the spaces that Martin used again for necessity were all white, and there was not
Yeah,
much the opposite of texture, you know. And here there is
yeah.
texture everywhere, which again is it's an interesting class. It's the
I
opposite,
guess
you
it
know.
kind of takes you into the inspiration of the collection too, because they were using a lot of like these floral
Yeah, of
prints
course.
and wallpapers and stuff.
Uh,
Even on the pieces, there are, because once again, it's supposed to be like finding beauty in things that aren't typically considered beautiful. So you see things like he superimposed images of dead animals and turned it into a
I didn't
collage
know
and
that.
like a print
Mm,
on certain garments. I'm trying, let me see if I can go back to some of the garments that like have those elements. Um, so it's like those kind of things that he's doing.
mm,
Let's see. No, I think it was later on in the collection. Yeah, like stuff like this. So this, let me pause actually. So this is a mixture of like paintings and collages turned into a
mm,
print. So that's kind of something he's done. I mean, Glenn is very famous for doing stuff like this. He's done it at quite a few places that he's worked at. His dad was a sort of history buff that he said in interviews. So that passed down to Glenn. So Glenn is very much into like art history, just history in general. He's very into like
yeah.
different artists and like historical art pieces. So he's kind of interwoven all of that into this collection. What do you think about we've talked about the masks a bit, but like what materials they were using, like the plates that they hammered in and like tin boxes that they
Mm.
hammered into the face. Do you reckon this is going to catch on as like a Margiela thing? Like, do you think that people would want to buy um masks that are just kind of like hammered and smashed metals and stuff like
That's
that?
a good question. Well, maybe I don't know if it will grow on people and they feel like there is something, you know, to it. Maybe I cannot predict. I cannot tell. But the clothes, I think it's gonna go well for him. I think it's gonna go well.
Yeah.
But the masks, Yeah, and using master. I mean, there are other ways, that's what I'm like. It's too direct. It's too, in a way, superficial, in a sense, of course, because there is a
Hmm.
lot of work that has been done and craftsmanship. But it's not an esoteric. I would want to see an esoteric collection, something that speaks like deeper, like Galliano was very flamboyant too, but everything was so personal and but in a way that was very almost spiritual, very esoteric,
Yeah.
like Martin was. And I don't see that here. It's more
But would you say that's
visual.
fair to Glenn? And the reason why I asked that question is
Yeah,
because Galliano is an extremely good storyteller. So, like,
yeah,
Glenn, I don't think could ever tell stories the way that
exactly. Yeah,
Galliano
I,
does.
I think, yeah. I mean, with Y Project, it was like that as well.
Yeah.
And Diesel, he's very good at selling clothes.
But there
I
wasn't
mean, he's
much,
a
even
very
at
good
Y
designer
Project,
also.
yeah,
Huh?
there wasn't
Yeah,
much storytelling there. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Martin was not doing much storytelling neither. If you think about it, he was very
Yep.
focused on the clothes. But the interesting thing about him is that somehow he transmitted all his personal energy to what he was doing, which I find very fascinating. Very few designers can do that, in a
Yeah.
very quiet way also. Not always. Some collections were, oversized but in general in a very quiet way. That's my big thing with that. That it's more like speaking too loud. Does it have depth? I'm not sure. We'll have to see how he will continue, I think. Yeah.
And luckily in September, we saw the schedule.
Mm,
He's going to have his first ready to wear show at Margiela. So I'm wondering what is really interesting me about that next show is a lot of, to me, what saves this collection is actually the craftsmanship because the
yeah.
storytelling wasn't there.
Yeah.
And you see like the encrusting, you see those videos where they're hand sewing stuff, and it's like interesting. If the craftsmanship isn't there because they won't have time to do that because the next show is not a couture show, what does he need to do to have a show that really channels that emotion that we're used to seeing from whether that's Galliano or Martin himself?
Yeah, that's interesting to ask. Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know how she will work, how she will translate that into ready to wear.
Yeah.
Uh, she might do still encrusted things, but much simpler maybe. It sells, bling bling sells in general, so it
Yeah.
might sell well. It might be like, a little bit flamboyant. People like that.
I think it's
Um,
good for social media too because it's
yeah,
so
yeah,
in
yeah.
your face. Yeah.
Even for editorials, I think these pieces are gonna use a lot in editorial work.
Oh, 100%. This is going to be in all the magazines,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in all the magazines because it shoots well. It's
yeah,
very, very in your face. It's very distinctive looking. So for a campaign, I think it just works.
yeah. And it's very rich in texture. You don't need to really do
Yeah.
much. Very interesting how it could look. He might reproduce this the semi-transparent, not transparent, the very thin dresses in a simpler
Yep.
way, maybe. What
And then less
and
expensive
the
ways. Yeah.
tune he will definitely put these flowers and wings, some kind of thing like that. But for
Yeah.
the very stiff pieces, I don't know. Then he might do a simpler version of that. If he manages to do that, it might be good for ready to wear.
Yeah.
That's
Even
the
on their
logical thing to do,
Instagram.
to try to
Yeah, I was just
synthesize
gonna
this
say,
idea. Yeah.
on their Instagram page, they're talking about what I was talking about earlier, where they're saying the interiors of Northern European Renaissance houses are
Mm,
abstracted in motifs and techniques. Images of 16th century Flemish hand painted, embossed leather floral wallpapers are printed on copy paper, employed as an overlay, appearing as fabric prints and embossment. But the problem is, it's a cool idea, but then the end product, I don't think, and that's one thing. Like one thing is like an idea, and I always have this critique for designers. But if the
mm.
end product is not refined enough, then it doesn't quite hit for me because I know that
Yeah,
when
yeah.
McQueen, for example, not that I'm comparing him to McQueen, but like
Mm,
when McQueen takes ideas of, like, think of Horn of Plenty. Horn of Plenty is a show that's literally about the decay of the earth and like the overuse of humans and kind of how human greed has destroyed the planet. And even with those kind of themes and themes of trash and repurposing, the end product is still streamlined into beautiful product. So it's one thing like having that as a concept, is another thing like being able to translate that into products that are actually extremely desirable and look desirable, which I think is extremely hard.
It is. I didn't understand exactly how this technique worked. Like he used really paper that was printed and it looked like fabric. That's what it said. Because I read it as well, but I'm not sure I understood. Like he took the
Yeah,
motif
I think
and then it was printed
they've
not on fabric but on paper. That's what she said.
yeah, so
That's what it
they've
said.
printed like a copy paper and overlaid it on leather, is my
On leather.
understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting because later on I'll show you a piece
So
that
you can
is
even see here, you can see like the paper peeling off like the red leather
yeah.
underneath. So you can kind of see
Okay.
it a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot closer
yeah,
there.
the effect of being temporary and the effect of changing the clothes changing and decaying.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
decay seemed to be like a very big theme. I mean, like using dead animals as like prints and stuff. That was like a very thing. Even the paper on the set, it looked like it was kind of decaying, going from white to brownish gray. That was kind of a thing. These were some of my favorite pieces. This idea of
yeah,
lace as an extension of the
yeah. I liked
skin.
it as well a lot.
Yeah, these are one of my favorite, but I really, really
Very
enjoyed these
pretty, yeah,
looks.
and very well
I also
done.
think
Very well
this,
made as well.
yeah, this channels Martin a lot more than a lot of the other
Yeah,
pieces in the collection.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. And that's another thing is way too many designers, I think, talk about decay and, we have
Yeah,
dystopian and all. I would say, like, Martin was a revolutionary. Like, you can be a revolutionary and talk about good things as well. I want to see more light in fashion. There is too much of
yeah,
goth. And I mean, there are already enough designers that are doing that. So it gives, we need more light as well. And for me, Galliano brought that, on so many levels.
yeah.
Um, so
Do
I
you
would
think that
like
just
to.
reflects the state of the world right now, or is it just maybe designers just genuinely just only look at like Gothic and
In a
like
way, it
those
does.
kind of
In a way, it does.
references?
Yeah, it does. But I always wonder, should we just reflect what's happening, or should we show should we better project what we would like to see, like a positive,
Yeah,
because documenting what is happening, the negative aspects of things that are happening, I don't know how useful it is. I always hear that, but I don't agree with this.
yeah,
Um, and for me, weirdly enough, Martin was very much that. It was like a quiet, very clean, even though he had also some darker aspects, the music he used in the shows, of course, he was
yeah,
influenced by certain things, but I don't know, for me, it was very bright and light, all what he was doing. I don't know how, but that's the energy I was receiving. And also the fact that he never wanted himself to be seen. For me, this is the most revolutionary thing for a designer. Very few designers
yeah.
desire that.
I think a lot of the Belgian designers are very good at that,
Yes,
where
it's
they
true.
can
Yeah, it's
the
true.
clothing can be gray, black, and white, but it's not gloomy. So like when you
Yeah.
think of okay, Walter van Beirendonck is very colorful, but he was
Mm.
covering themes of like homophobia and like AIDS, the AIDS epidemic. Those are like some of the themes in his work, but it didn't feel gloomy. Or like even Andermelemeester is quite gothic, she's quite grungy, but it didn't feel like dark and
There is a
gloomy and
lightness.
stuff like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's romantic, poetic, and then Greece, of
exactly.
course, is the joy of color.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Belgians are like that. They have a subtlety that is very particular to them. It's so interesting about
Yeah.
Belgian school of thought. It's my favorite. So yeah.
Yeah, I love the Belgians. I mean, Andermele is my favorite designer. So you've gotta love the Belgians. There's something in the air in that place.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, it's so interesting. And they think like they think alike, they have a very similar way of approaching things, which is always with a lot of depth. It's never superficial.
Yeah. What is Luke saying? I just miss the beautiful simplicity and cleanliness of Martin's
Yeah,
work during
exactly.
the
Yeah, yeah.
90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, so Luke's I really love Galliano's Margiela, like especially the Swalk collections. I've talked about this all the time.
Mm.
Those are like my favorite Margiela collections from him. But his wasn't clean. Like I wouldn't refer to Galliano's Margiela as clean, but I still thought it was really great. And it has to be different, otherwise he's just like copying Martin, which obviously will be frowned upon also.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I thought Luke, you liked John Galliano's Margiela, but that wasn't the cleanest. I wouldn't really describe it as clean.
No, it was not clean, but it was, I would say the element that was very close to Martin was lightness. It was very light, even though it was very layered sometimes.
Yeah,
It was layered with Conde and, layers of very light things. There was like a spontaneity and a lightness, and nothing too heavy. And that's
Luke's.
the energy I get from what Galliano did.
In retrospect, I don't think Galliano was compatible with Margiela in spirit. I mean, you can say that if you're thinking, okay, Galliano is storytelling, Margiela didn't storytell. Galliano uses more ostensive corsetry that Martin Margiela never used. Like you can start drawing parallels, but I don't think it has to always be the same. I think a lot of what Galliano did was closer to Martin in spirit than what we've seen from Glenn, at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so I think it just depends how you see it, to be honest.
Mm, yeah, I agree on that.
I also don't get why Glenn's trying to push cunty aesthetics here. Margiela has never been about exposed chest and hypersexualization. Leave it in Diesel. It's giving Ludovic de Saint-Zenon for Andy. That's harsh. That's harsh.
No, I don't think he would be able to do that. We saw what he did, Ludovic. No.
That is very harsh. Damn. I don't even know what to say to that.
I wouldn't say it's because there's a corsetry, it's hypersexualization. It's just
I mean, they're probably referring to like the bare chests. A lot of the pieces were like translucent, which I mean, Martin has done it himself. He's had collections with the whole plastic thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Martin has literally done that, but Martin didn't do it in such a titties everywhere type of
yeah.
way. So I think that's what they're referring to.
But it doesn't give me that energy, this collection. I don't, when I see Glenn's collection, I don't feel like it's hypersexualizing anything. I don't get that at all, even
Yeah.
with the transparent pieces.
Okay, let me see what Luke
Yeah,
says. I
these were
think
my
of
least favorite ones. I don't even know. Did he use a light fabric? I think yes, but he made it look like it's very heavy.
yeah, the
Yeah,
show notes actually have like all the details of like every single look, which I actually really enjoyed. I just didn't want to like talk about it while we're talking because I wanted our like genuine thoughts before we go into like what is said in the show note. But that those looks are like they're woven with metal threads and then printed with a pattern that replicates Flemish hand painting. So that's kind of how they're
okay,
made.
yeah. There is a lot of fabric. I wonder what kind of fabric. So is it really heavy or not? I'm very curious to see this close up. Ah, this is like exactly the Jean-Paul Gaultier he did. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah,
The emerald
exactly that.
dress?
Yeah. My main problem with the collection is how suffocating it is because I'm a sucker for textures. I mean, there's definitely a lot of textures in this collection, though. I
Mm,
also, the thing about that was kind of a weird conversation that I did see online. People were asking, how is he going to replicate all this stuff when it's or like found items? And my rebuttal would be, it's a couture show, not ready to wear.
yeah,
So already, it's not like they're going to produce like 10,000 of these people. They're going to produce maybe like two or three max. Um, so
yeah.
it doesn't really matter. I think of Martin's as an intellectual inquiry into clothing, how clothing is one put together and then presented in a fashion context. It's not theatre, whereas John was pure theatre. I wouldn't I wouldn't say John is pure theater, but there's
No,
definitely like theater to his work, but I wouldn't say it's pure theater.
no.
I
For me,
think
yeah,
oh no, I
please.
was just gonna say that I think Galliano's
Mhm.
work too was an inquiry into like clothing and how it's worn, which is why looking at like the Madeleine Vionnet techniques and stuff like that that Galliano was, redeveloping when he was at Margiela, that's like an inquiry into like how women used to dress and how dresses were made and kind of how he can modernize that and change the context. So woven into the theater, I think, is a lot of depth into like clothing and how clothing is worn and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, for me, the common point between the two is that Galliano is very intellectual. He's a very intellectual designer as well, as much as Martin was. So in essence, they are very close. But in essence, then in presentation, they're different and they should be. And that's what I would be expecting, as I told you from Glenn, like that we see that in essence, we have to see his depth, how far he can go in terms of what he wants to say through the clothes. And for me, it's much more superficial than Galliano in that sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so that's how I see them, but not in terms of how the clothes look, but like how where the intention and where the energy is coming from. That's why the last Galliano show, people were in tears, because it touches something, and that's a very difficult thing to do. And Margiela is the same. He touches something very deep, I would say. Even though we still talk about clothes, there is a depth in all that. And that's the hard thing to do, to create this kind of emotions, and and I don't see that with Glenn here, at least in this collection. It didn't
yeah,
give me any particular emotion, if I
yeah.
can say. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I didn't get any emotion from the collection.
Mm.
Um, I do appreciate a lot of the techniques used though, but I would just
Yeah, yeah.
like to see just the essence of the brand channeled more. And you don't have to do it the
Mhm.
same, like we've been talking with Galliano. You didn't do it the exact same way. Um, his way of doing it is different. And I just like to see Glenn play more with that. And I think we might get that with the ready to wear because there is less of a focus on all the specific techniques used and more on like the actual like clothing and more on like the concept more so than anything
Yeah,
else.
that would be even more challenging,
Yeah.
because he
I
will
mean,
not have.
it is more challenging because the
It is
craft
more
can be a
challenging. Yeah,
distraction. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Because in the end, you
Guys,
want
we
to make
need to
also great
remember
clothes.
Glenn has big shoes to fill. Yes, he definitely does have
Yeah.
big shoes to fill, but that's the life he chose.
Yeah.
He's a creative director of one of the most beloved brands in fashion. So, he knows that people are going to look at his work extremely deeply.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let me get some of the images up on Vogue just to have a closer look. And like the plastic stuff going
Yeah.
on
These ones
there.
for me, if they were absent, I would be happy. Like I don't understand even like it's.
Yeah. So
There's
what this
nothing to
look
be
is,
said.
what
Yeah.
this look to me looks like is just
Mm.
him trying to merge Margiela and Galliano into one look. Why I say that is Margiela has done the plastic collections. We've seen that already from Martin himself. The mask is very Martin Margiela, so he's done that in plastic. But then the shape is like it's like plastic corsetry in the way that Galliano would do it. So it's like adding the concept of Margiela with the corsetry of Galliano all into one look, which doesn't give me any Glenn. It gives me John and Martin in one look.
In the last collection, I think Galliano did that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, he did that. It was not a full dress. Like now he took out the other layer of the dress. It was, I think, the blue white stripe, and on top of it there was plastic in corsetry. So it's the same idea, but you take out the dress, so you take out you make it more minimalistic
yeah,
in a way, but then it doesn't mean anything. It
yeah,
stays very um non-saying. I mean, these looks are really non-saying. I didn't know what to do with
yeah,
these looks.
yeah.
And if you notice in movement, like 70% of the clothes was very restricting. And I found
Yeah.
I didn't like that because it made everything look so difficult and heavy.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
Luke just
exactly.
said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're synchronized. Yeah.
You're
Exactly
in
that. Yeah.
sync.
Yeah, which is not Margiela at all. Exactly. The simplicity of the clothes that you can wear all the time and enjoy them. Yeah.
Yeah. This kind of even I understand what Glenn is doing. Like a lot of Martin's work had this sort of hand painted vibe to it, hand worked. So a lot of the pieces are very hand painted. Like even here is like some sort of a caped dress worn over a corset that you can't even see.
Mhm.
And it's been hand painted to evoke like brush strokes, but it's just like it's just not, it doesn't give you the same emotion.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm telling you. I think it's more superficial. He took the codes in a very direct way, but what did he add of his own? Like something very personal to him. This is what I don't
Yeah,
see.
yeah. This is kind of cool, like aged gold
Hmm.
woven with metal threads to make the piece. That's how they kind of have this effect.
Yeah.
Um, that's really cool. That would be really expensive. I don't want to know how expensive that would be for the two couture customers that end up buying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting though. I think I definitely liked the collection less when I first saw it because it was so far away from Margiela, and then I really had to sit with it and think, okay, where are the parallels and kind of what is
Yeah.
Glenn's goal with this collection, which has made me kind of understand certain aspects. But kind of like we've been saying, I think that there's still more that needs to be done, and I'm really looking forward to the ready to wear show to see if that actually happens.
It's funny
Who
what
wants
you're
to?
just showing now. I have a piece that I will show you from a ready-to-wear collection from Galliano,
Right.
when where it's peeling off like that, but
Yeah.
it's fabric, but it's printed fabric, uh, glued on fabric, but glued in a way that we iron glue, not like really glue, and then it
Right.
starts peeling off. I'll show you. It's so interesting that it's the same thing in a way.
Yeah. This is from the
But this
show
is
notes. It
transferred, you
says that
see,
it's
to a ready
silk
to wear.
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be transferred. Like this is a beautiful garment, the one I'm telling you, and it shows it can be transferred if it's done well to very beautiful clothes. But let's see what Glenn will do with that.
And I
He's
think
about
that's
to take it.
honestly, I
Yeah.
talk about this with like Luke in the Discord and stuff. Um,
Hmm.
this is something that this is an issue I have with fashion these days, where a lot of designers tend to struggle to have like really, let's say, gothic or chaotic themes turned into something that's actually beautiful looking. Like McQueen did it very well, Galliano does it very well. I think a lot of designers these days, like even Demna, I have an issue sometimes with him doing that,
Yeah, of
where
course.
the concept is like waste, and instead of like creating something beautiful, he creates, like in the couture show where he made that dress made out of like sweatshirts and bras and stuff, and it just looked like rags. That's an
Wait.
issue I have with a lot of designers. Yeah, I mean, it did look like waste, but
Yeah, exactly.
if if a
So what's
90s
the point?
designer, yeah, it's like, what's the point?
Let's create
If a
more waste,
designer like McQueen, Galliano, um if they did it, it would look beautiful still. They would find a way to still make it look beautiful, even with the same exact elements and the same concept. I think
I
designers
totally agree.
really struggle with that. Hussein
Yeah,
Chalayan would find something really beautiful out of that.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, I agree with you.
And I think it's also, as consumers, we don't demand more from designers, which is kind of why they just get away with that. Because
Mm.
it's too literal, which means, like, to me at least, it's too easy to do. Like it takes less thought to be like, okay, it's about trash. let me sew all these pieces together and make a dress. Less thought goes into that than having to crack your brain and think, okay, how can I position all these pieces to turn it into like a beautiful looking dress that's actually desirable, that people want
Exactly.
to wear and it doesn't look ironic or something like that. That's
Yeah,
actually really hard, way harder to do than kind of what I'm referring to.
of course, of course.
Um,
Definitely. I agree. Yeah, this is much more difficult. And this is the most
yeah,
important thing in the end, because I mean, we want to, have clothes in the archives that are beautiful clothes that have been made, and we don't want to have just ideas, in concept. Me personally, I have bought almost very, very few pieces from Balenciaga. I have mostly shoes,
right.
which I have found very interesting. They have beautiful accessories, but clothes, uh, there is no point. I mean, of course, they have done good pieces, but as an overall, I wouldn't go and give money for a sweatshirt or for something that is simply deconstructed, but
Yeah,
in a way like that. I'm not interested in that at all. So yeah, there are very few designers that do that.
yeah. The fault there lies in fashion education. There's zero subtlety in fashion now because fashion images are designed to provide instant gratification. It's dopamine
Exactly.
culture. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
true. I wonder
yeah.
if that has something to do with a lot of these designers now. Like well, Glenn isn't like that young, but like maybe Glenn is not who we're going to talk about with this. But let's say designers younger than Glenn, they grew up around social media. So even it affects the way that they see things naturally. Like they always see things as like, how would this look on social media? How would this? And therefore,
Mm,
that's why things tend to provide that sort of instant gratification rather than really having pieces where all the layers are considered.
yeah, there is definitely that, for sure.
Yeah.
Even
So
styling is a
yeah,
little bit like this.
I agree.
Styling is
So
very much
yeah, I
like this as
think
well. There is very few stylists have put a lot of thought in what they do, and there are layers of things to see. Usually, it's
yeah. So yeah, those are really my thoughts. Unless you have anything left to say, Anastasia, on the collection.
no, no. I
Um,
think we covered more or less. Yeah.
yeah, I posted a link in the chat, guys, to the show notes. If you guys want to look at the show notes, they're really good show notes because they have talked about every single look separately and how
This I
they've
liked.
made it.
Yeah, this was nice on the content. This I liked a lot. Yeah, that you have the
Yeah,
description. Yeah.
yeah, of every
Thanks, Glenn
single look.
Martin also. Yeah, yeah.
I just didn't want to talk about it because
Mm,
like follow every look because it's like that's not journalism. Like we're giving off actual opinions on the show rather than being like, yes, so look 21 is this, that, this, and 22 is that's you can read it if you want to read it and read further. But the show notes are really great for that.
true.
I also think fashion now just does not take into account the importance of the body. Fashion feels like it's working against the natural contours of the body, which is fundamentally anti human, in my opinion. I also think it's actually very hard. So, this is another thing I think about fashion, and I know this because I used to be a pattern maker. It's way harder to make patterns that are supposed to be shaped around the body because you have
Mm,
to actually be good at tailoring and pattern making.
yeah.
Like, if you
Exactly.
make
Yeah.
wide silhouettes, it's
Yeah.
easier because it can fit into more different bodies and you don't have to take into account the different contours of the body. I'll give you an example. Like if I get a suit made, the pattern maker of the trousers has to take into account that I have big calves and they have to make sure that the shape of the trousers follows my calf without the trouser actually being curvy and without the trouser looking like there's a specific curve that has been put in place because of my calf, but it still has to be like whatever shape of trouser I want it to be. So if it's slim fitting, they have to figure it out with a slim fit trouser, which is like science. There's like a science to it. It's really hard to do that. Um, and so it shows like a lot of designers probably can't do that because of the pattern making skill that it requires. So yeah, that's why tailoring looks the way it does. So I'm in total agreement with Luke about that. I do think that the skill of certain designers isn't as good, which is why they can't do it. I mean, you think of the likes of Galliano, you think of the likes of McQueen, these are highly trained designers, like highly, highly skilled designers, which is why they could do that in the first place. I thought the design was moving away from flattering the body because all the silhouettes that could be made have already been made, but I could be wrong. Nah, because I mean the wide silhouettes have been made just in different ways. Like I mean, designers like Yoji Yamamoto, they were doing really wide silhouettes and stuff like that, right? So I don't think that all of it has been made or all of it has been done already in terms of flattering to the body. I think it just depends. Yeah, Luke said both Savile Row trained designers too, John and Alexander. Yeah, and it shows because that kind of tailoring skill is hard, and that's why a dressmaker that's trained traditionally in like tailoring is always going to be better. Like a Cristobal Balenciaga. Cristobal Balenciaga, for people that don't know, he literally interned at different tailoring establishments when he was younger, before starting his brand. That's why he's such a skilled tailor, and he makes patterns so well. And that's why he could translate it into shapes and literally create new silhouettes out of nothing. It just shows. You can always tell designers that have like a tailoring background and designers that don't. I think it's very obvious just by looking at someone's clothing. It's like extremely obvious. Not to say as if I'm against good tailoring. No, I know what you mean. I know what you're alluding to. Don't worry. I know what you meant. Only the image for the Instagram post matters now, not movement, not how it fits. You only need to create one static look. I know, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And I think it also goes into the way that people talk about clothing, right? When I saw the conversation online about this collection, it tended to be about the references and about if it channels Margiela or if it is Margiela. Like people asking a question, is this like very Margiela? There wasn't really a lot of conversation around like the movement of the garment or how it actually fits or what the silhouettes are like. So the conversation around fashion too is a bit different. The way people talk about fashion is a bit different, to be honest. Ultimately, fashion is intuitive, and Glenn does not intuitively understand Margiela. I think he does to an extent. I think he's getting there, but I wouldn't say he doesn't understand it completely, though. Everyone online is worshipping this collection. I don't understand it. Standards are slipping. I think fashion is subjective, so I think it's fine if people worship the collection, if they really like it. I think there's nothing particularly wrong with that. It just doesn't mean I have to agree, though. And like I like it just to an extent. I just think that I mean we've reviewed the collection, I think. Let me see if I can get Anastasia back on because I want her to show her collection, her Margiela archive, if she will be so kind as to show us on the stream. I think you guys will be interested in that. Let's see. You are too polite to say there's a lot of ignorance now about design and fashion. People don't even correctly identify colors and fabrics. For fuck's sake. That's probably so I never want to come across as like a fashion elitist because I do actually quite hate elitism. However, I do think that it is necessary in certain aspects, as much as that like tickles me to say. Um where I'm different to a lot of people, I guess, that talk about fashion online is that I'm traditionally trained in the sense that I went to fashion school and studied fashion journalism academically. So obviously, when it comes to things like fabrics or colors or certain aspects of history, art history, fashion history, I learned that in an academic setting as someone that studied a fashion journalism degree. So I'm always going to think about fashion differently to someone who just maybe is a consumer or didn't really study fashion academically in any sense. That being said, I still think that other people's opinions are just as valid because all consumers in the world are not like journalists and traditionally trained and all that stuff. And I think it's a good conversation to have around kind of what people wear, what people prefer, what the conversation around the current climate of fashion is, because all of that filters into what people are wearing, which I think is a very valid conversation to have. Hello, welcome back.
Hi.
Can you show us some of your collection, your archive, your Margiela archive, if you don't
Yeah,
mind?
not at all. Well, I don't have everything here.
Where is everything back home? Okay.
I have to move, so I have to take off the. So I have a few pieces here. Maybe I'll do it in a chronological order. So this this piece, well, this piece it doesn't exist on the catwalk, but something similar was done in fall winter 2017. This is all ready to wear. So this, of course, a relatively simple piece in terms of how the deconstruction aspects of it. Is a trench coat. 1 second. Just open it.
This is so much fun, by the way. I should do this more.
Yeah, you should. So you see here, the sleeve is collapsed. So the hand enters through here. It becomes a cape, and also it can enter through here as well, which is makes it a lot of fun. It's cut here. It's cut. It can even come out of the pockets that don't exist. It's cut at the back. And also here, so it creates also a two-dimensional aspect to it through that. And you have a belt that you can use it and you can pull it in different ways. So this is a trench coat I love a lot. In terms of silhouette, you mostly wear it as a cape, open or closed. This is the piece I was telling you. This is spring summer.
That coat, what collection is that from?
I mean, it doesn't. They didn't make that on the runway exactly. Some pieces are either modified when they sell them, or
Okay.
they don't exist, but the idea is the same. So they have done this kind of deconstruction with cutting the pockets. That collection had a lot of trench coats. It was fall winter 2017.
Okay.
And then this is what I was telling you, with the peeling off.
Ah, yes.
So you have here. This is wool, checkered
But
wool.
this is done more because they're whole panels, so it looks a lot cleaner than the whole decayed vibe where everything is
but
kind of
when
just
I bought it,
peeling.
of course, it was glued completely. But I can redo it if I want. But I like it like that. I find it very pretty.
That's interesting. So it's glued completely, and as you wear it and as you use it,
Yeah,
it kind of
like the
starts
top of it,
peeling.
because it's a set. Look, it's a little bit. It makes it a little bit stiffer. Also, it gives it a little bit of structure, and I love how it opens here. You have these cuts here, and you see the internal part of the fabric here. It doesn't move though. So here, for example, it didn't come off. And a very interesting detail in that is that the Margiela stitch is stitched in a place that you have to, in a way, destroy to open it. Look. You see? Like you cannot open it because it's stitched like this. So once you open it, you also destroy that, which I found very interesting.
This is spring summer 18. I think you mentioned it earlier, but this is SS 18, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spring summer 18, and I'll show you another very interesting detail on that. The way it adjusts. It has that feature that I have never seen in clothes before. Maybe it exists, but you see, it's like kind of zipper that you pull like this and you fasten it like that to create a smaller waist. You see that?
That's really cool.
An interesting construction detail, small thing, yeah, like this. And there is a button as well. So you can, in a way, change the silhouette just a little bit on that one. So then I'll show you my very favorite piece, which is of the same collection. So this is spring summer 2018, and I have other pieces from this collection as well, but here I have just these. This is my very favorite jacket. It's also spring summer 18. So this it's not. It is a brocart, right? No, not a jacquard. It's a brocart. Yeah, it has this texture to it, like an old gold. and it's a double jacket actually. So this is
Yeah.
organza on it, and it's stitched. The interesting thing in that is that it doesn't, and of course the lining is the same as externally. You can unbutton that as well, and create a little bit of a thing. And then the interesting thing of that is that it's not stitched fully. It's stitched here, but then the
Oh.
shoulders can fall, and you can wear it even like this,
Oh.
which I find fantastic. It's like almost like you're half taking out the second organza jacket, which I found so pretty. You see what I mean? Like this, but it doesn't go more than that. It doesn't move more than this, so you cannot
Yeah.
take it completely. I think this is a very beautiful piece.
I love that.
Yeah, it's very pretty. So this is spring, and then here, well, I have a lot of yellow on that. This is silk. So this is fall
That's
winter
fall into 18, right?
winter
Yeah,
18,
yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah.
and this is for men's. They put it out in red. It's exactly the same fabric as that. That's what I want. This is a very simple jacket. It has this sporty look, but it's silk, and that makes it so interesting. Using clothes that as well is like what the sailors use,
Yeah.
protect from the rain, but it's made out of silk. So it's such an interesting piece because you can wear it with sneakers, and you can wear it with high heels, and with so many things, and it's beautifully paneled diagonally. Here, look, like that.
Oh, the from the inside you can really see the silk a lot better.
Yeah, it's almost like a taffeta silk. It's not as stiff as taffeta, but it has like a beautiful shine to it.
Right.
And you see, it's all paneled like that, and it also has holes here, and you can put even a belt, and you can change the silhouette completely. You can fasten it or leave it completely loose. Has a beautiful movement, and it ends up like this.
Yeah.
So that, and then the next piece is, I think it's, yeah, this is the same collection actually, if I'm not mistaken. Which on the catwalk it came out much longer, which I loved actually, but in production it didn't come like this part. There was a big panel that came up almost up to the ground,
Yeah.
which is very pretty. But even this version is very nice. It's super oversized. It's unisex, and you have like this. I think it's not sure. It's organza for sure. Not organza. I'm not sure if it's silk, but it's a very beautiful. I don't know if it's synthetic or if it's really silk. I'm not sure about that. But it has a beautiful shine to it, and also this. Do you remember the couture collection that he did? That you had when you were photographing with flash, the clothes look completely different.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same, but this is a ready to wear. So he transferred that idea here. So when you photograph that,
Ah.
it gives that color, that people wear when they do things in this. How is it called? That kind of fabric that
Yeah.
it's not fluorescent. It's something else. I don't know how it's called.
Iridescent.
Iridescent, yeah. So it's very beautifully made. I really love that. I wear it all the time. Very again, this idea of very sporty looking, but then with that it gives it an edge. I even wear it sometimes to go out in the evening. And then another piece. Um, this is, I think this is fall winter 2019. It's my favorite leather jacket. So what he has done here is he has collapsed the shoulders.
Mm.
So instead of like Margiela would collapse to the front, he collapsed at the side. Like you don't have that. So if you don't zip it up, it falls off of you. You cannot. It doesn't sit on the body, and it goes very high here.
I
I can
absolutely
wear it
love the shape of that jacket.
any shape.
It's
I'm wearing
so good.
yeah,
It looks like an A-line skirt, but it's actually a jacket.
yeah, exactly. So it's like a cape.
Yeah.
And
Cape
if you don't
shape,
zip it,
but just
it
a
doesn't
jacket.
sit. If I zip it up, it goes up to here. It opens up to here, you see? Like that. Or you can turn this like this. And it's really a very beautiful piece. And from the back it's like that. So this is of course the idea of collapsing one dimension. And then I have much more accessories. I'm just gonna show you a tabby that I love a lot that is rubber. I have other tabbies. I don't have that many tabbies though. This is when he did this with the sailors, you know, what he did the rubber boots as well. And then this bag, which is my favorite bag. I think this was in 2020. He did it in 3 sizes. A smaller one, this one, and a bigger one, and it opens like that. It has a little mechanism. I think it's a fantastic bag, and you can wear it, of course, like this.
Nice.
And then one last thing I want to show you that is not from Galliano, but it's from Martin that I found by chance, is a Hermes Martens Margiela skirt.
Oh, no way. Not the Hermes era. That's crazy.
I think that man did a very similar thing, not to say exactly the same. It's a very simple skirt, panel like this.
I mean, Demna is very inspired by Martin. I mean, he worked there,
yeah.
so it makes a lot
I
of
saw
sense
one
why,
Batman skirt, and it reminded me of this. This is a wool winter skirt, very simple, very well cut. Of course, look, back is like this.
Yeah, that's what I love about Luke. That's what I loved about Martin's Hermes. So it was very like simplistic, but just really well made, and the shapes are what made it like really, really nice.
And that's where, that's where you see his genius, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
The capacity to. Yeah.
Would you like it if it's not Margiela? Yeah, of course. I mean, a few brands have done stuff that's similar. It's a nice shaped skirt.
Yeah, we have to consider when he did it as well and what it represents.
The button at the kick pleat is a nice button tab at the kick pleat is a nice detail. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
The detail of the skirt.
Yeah. Where is the rest of, is it back home? The rest of your archive? Yeah.
It's much more than
yeah. I'm very sure there's a lot more.
But these remain some of my very favorite pieces, like the golden jacket and the leather, and the yellow dress. This I find fantastic. Very unique.
And for people that don't know, I was just going to say quickly, people that don't know, Anastasia is my really good friend. She's a stylist. A good stylist, though, not one of the bad stylists that don't know anything about fashion and don't know anything about the archive. She actually knows a lot about fashion, unlike most stylists you probably meet. So yeah, I absolutely love what she does, and I love her work. And I love her archive. She keeps like a personal archive of different pieces. I know Margiela is like one of the brands you have a lot of. What other brands do you like collect a lot of their pieces?
I love Junya.
Yeah.
Junya Watanabe is one of my very favorite designers. I don't have as many. I have, of course, I have for my everyday.
You have the Junya piece that I love, though.
Yeah, I have it here.
Yeah. Oh, do you have it? Oh, please, can you show everyone? I love that piece.
Wait, I have it in the, like, I'll take it off and yeah. This is a fun.
Oh, she needs to disconnect her headphone. Okay, there we go.
This Junior piece is something else. Yeah, Junior, I have a little bit of White Project, a little bit of Dries Van Noten as well, which I love. A lot of J.W. Anderson.
Yeah.
I think I would say these are the main brands, and then a lot of MM6 as well, you know, which is like the casual brand. My everyday clothes are all MM6. I don't have anything. I don't own anything from fast fashion, anything, not even a pair of
Yeah.
socks. I'm like,
Stuck to the
like
cause. We love that.
it's a principle. It's a matter of principle for me, you know. If somebody doesn't have the money, I understand, but otherwise, I don't. Uh, so 1 second. And then recons as well. A little bit of recons. I love recons.
Yeah.
These are my mostly avant-garde designers, and then a little bit playful, and then young designers as well. That I like to support. This is the bring it this.
Yeah, I love that piece so much.
It has this kind of, you see, this kind of, I would say it's what? It's not like a kind of 19th century sleeve, like that, very romantic in a way. But the interesting thing about it is that you can button it in so many ways or leave it open. And then once you start taking, like unzipping it, you can completely make it look like leather stripes, you know, that are falling off. Or you can keep it like this. It has like a shape like that. Yeah, this piece is fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite pieces. Like,
Yeah,
I love that piece so much.
yeah, me too. It's a fantastic piece. So, yeah, these are mainly the brands I have. Dries I love a lot as well because I like color. So, the funny thing is I don't have Margiela, Martin Margiela.
Yeah.
I don't have many things, very few, but I don't have them here. So, because you can still find there are very interesting pieces in the market that are not even too expensive. You know, because sometimes there were some pieces, you know, that went for auction.
Yeah. That was
have you seen
what's
that?
her name again? Just skipped my mind. Carrie Taylor. Yeah. Carrie Taylor did that massive auction with loads of archive Martin Margiela pieces. And yeah, I think those are really expensive.
Yeah,
a lot of them went for a
there
lot
was
of
one
money.
piece that sold for 20,000 euros, something like that.
Yeah. It's not really attainable. I think once it gets into Carrie's hands, I think it's not going to be attainable.
Yeah.
I think a good place to find stuff like that is like Antwerp. Antwerp has so many different little shops, like random shops that just like you'll walk in there and it'll be like, oh yeah, this is like Margiela fall winter 1995, and you're like, what? Like the only reason I don't buy it is because none of them are my size, obviously. But if I was like a petite lady, I'll probably buy loads of that stuff.
Yeah, Antwerp is a good place.
Yeah.
For this kind of things, especially for the Belgian designers, especially for Margiela.
People are asking if you have Issey Miyake.
If I have very few, but nothing archival.
Yeah. People are very interested in your archive now.
Oh my God. And this is like from what I wish to accomplish as a collector, this is like 1%, you know, like I will keep doing that. Yeah, this is the thing I love investing. It's not even an investment. It's like I do it out of pure joy and because I like to go out dressed with good clothes, you know, that are interesting. It's firstly that, and I have a lot of respect for people who collect clothes, who work in fashion and collect clothes. That means, as you said, that they value that and they have a love for, literally,
and you're
love for
preserving.
clothes. You know, it's not even, it's beyond showing off. It's beyond you know, it's not even showing wealth. It's just because some pieces you can find them in good prices as well. It's not like everything is super duper expensive. Some things you can find in reasonable prices, but you have to like to do that. You know?
Yeah.
And me, I'm shocked that people don't like to do that. I don't understand it. You know, for me, it's how can you work in fashion and you're not interested in collecting clothes? I don't know that. How people like that.
I think it depends on your reason for getting into fashion or working in fashion, because not everyone that works in fashion does it because they love fashion. Some people do it because it gives them proximity to celebrities. Some people do it because they just want to make like loads of money. So I think
Yeah,
it just
it's good
depends
what
on
you
people's
say.
intentions. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you're right. I mean, when your intention is related only to clothes, then you do that. I think
Yeah.
Carla Suzani also, she's one of the few that has a fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
some fashion editors and some stylists use it. They have beautiful, very big archives. I cannot compare mine to theirs. This is a
The thing
archive
about
of
the
beauty. Yeah,
editors, a lot of them have an advantage because, especially the big editors, like if you're editor in chief of Vogue, you're going to get sent so much stuff that if you've been in that role for like 10, 15, 20 years, you'll just inherently have a
yeah,
crazy archive unless you're selling everything. So they're kind of lucky. Like the big Vogue editors, they're really lucky in that sense.
yeah. You're right. It's true.
Yeah. Also, please, everyone, follow her on Instagram. I put her Instagram on the screen.
Thank you.
Check her out. Check out her work.
So more or less we agree then on Glenn's collection. I'm happy to
Yeah,
hear
we
that.
do.
Yeah, and even the opinions of we heard here are more or less what we were saying, which is good. And that's
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't know that
What did
I
you
didn't
What
know
did
that
you
most
think
people
my
like it.
opinion on Glenn was going to be? I'm just
This
curious.
no,
Oh, okay.
what you said, very close to mine. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
didn't
people in
think
the
you would
chat
just
too.
judge it in a very first reading way. You would go a little bit deeper and see that certain things are. Yeah, so we get
Yeah.
the same impression out of it.
I think it was cool though. I think though, what I will say in his defense is it's
Yeah.
very hard for your whole vision for Margiela to all come out in one collection because obviously everyone that we are comparing Glenn to, like John has done so many collections at Margiela for us to see like a
Mm.
through line in terms of like his aesthetic. And then Martin, obviously, like Martin made the brand. He's had how many collections? So you can't do all of that in one collection, to be honest. So I think I'm looking forward to the ready to wear and then seeing kind of
Yeah, me too.
what happens there. Yeah,
And if he manages to translate it in a beautiful way, then that's a great thing. I will continue
yeah.
buying. I will continue buying Margiela then, or otherwise I will just go backwards from now on. Just only
Just
archive.
getting older and
It will
older
it
and
will
older.
depend. It's true.
People are asking me. I mean, the only brand I collect is Andermellemeister, and my Andermellemeister stuff is a lot of it is in storage, like it's all over the place. So I'd
Mm.
have to actually like get it if I was to do an Andermellemeister video. I should do one because I saw Ryan Finn did one, which was great. I enjoyed watching that. So I'm like, let me do the follow up to Ryan Finn's video on like my Under the Meester collection. I've got some like crazy shit. I've even got sunglasses from her first ever collection ever. Because
Ah,
people don't
very
actually
interesting.
know that when they became the Antwerp Six, Antoinette Meester didn't go to London with them because she was ill. So she stayed in Belgium and she gave them a collection of sunglasses to showcase. And I have sunglasses from that collection.
Interesting.
So I've got stuff like that. I've got knitwear, footwear, outerwear, coat. Yeah, but that's the only. I don't think my collection will be as interesting because I only collect one brand. It's not as fun.
Yeah.
I need to diversify. What other brands would you guys suggest that I collect outside of Andy? I'm curious to see what people say in the chat.
It depends you do if you like color or not. Do you wear color?
I'm
I'm
starting to
interested.
wear a lot more color when I first started because when I first got into fashion, I learned about Yoji and then
Mm,
Andy, and then I like stayed with Andy. So I was kind of in this just like black only kind of phase. But I think now I wear a bit sometimes. Once in a while, I wear color.
who would fit you? Oh, interesting.
Luke is saying Junior and Yoji. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Yoji, but I don't collect Yoji. I think I've got like two Yoji pieces.
I
So yeah, I
wouldn't see
can't
me
describe
dressed in
myself as a Yoji
junior.
collector.
I mean, junior menswear at least. It's not for you.
I've never worn
But
Junior
like junior,
before.
yeah, junior women wear, which is uniform basically. It's like unisex. I'm sorry, it's
Mm,
unisex. You can wear, but the silhouette of junior homme is not. It's for men that are much more petite than you
yeah,
usually. Com is the same.
you would look great in Yoji Porom. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean the
thank.
Yoji stuff I have worn is sensational. A lot of it is just super expensive though. So like I have to find it on a secondhand market, which is quite challenging because Yoji you can find on the secondhand market, but smaller sizes. So at my size, it's a bit difficult. But guys, if I ever became rich from working in fashion, there will be signs. There
Yeah.
will be signs. One of the first signs will be Yoji.
Once we see you wearing yoji all the time, well, then we know what happened.
There will be
It went
signs.
very well. Oh yeah. It will
I've
happen.
got a
Yeah,
Yoji
yo.
back woolen coat. It's amazing with detachable 3D pockets. Oh, that's beautiful. I'd love to see it. I love to see that actually. That's amazing. But yeah, guys, this was a lot of fun. I think we're gonna end it here. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have any other thoughts, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. You can follow Anastasia and the link that I gave earlier. I'll also pin Anastasia's Instagram link to the description when the live ends. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next